Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about trapezoids. All right, by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to solve problems using properties specific to trapezoids and isosceles trapezoids. We're going to prove and justify the quadrilaterals have specific properties using the coordinate and algebraic methods, slope, distance, and midpoint. And we're going to prove and justify theorems and properties of quadrilaterals using deductive reasoning. All right, let's get started. Now, the properties of a trapezoid and isosceles trapezoid have nothing to do with the properties of a parallelogram or a rectangle or rhombus or square. These are its own entity. All of these figures are quadrilaterals, but none of the properties of the previous quadrilaterals apply to trapezoids. So in a trapezoid, it's a four-sided figure, bases are parallel. So remind yourself, parallel means that they have arrows. Consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So I'm going to add those two angles inside the parallel lines. So angle 2 plus angle 1 is going to equal 180. And then similarly, angle 3 plus angle 4 is going to equal 180. The two angles inside the parallel lines, just remind yourself, those are called consecutive interior angles. Okay, all the properties of a trapezoid also apply to isosceles trapezoid. In addition to the basic properties of a trapezoid, to make an isosceles trapezoid, we know the bases are parallel, the legs are congruent, diagonals are congruent, and the base angles are going to be congruent. And when we're talking about trapezoids, we have a mid-segment. Mid means the middle, and it's a segment. So the mid-segment is going to cut these legs in half. So the length of the mid-segment trapezoid is equal to the average of the two bases. So we're going to take the two bases. So remind yourself, if the bases are the two that are parallel. So this base and this base, when you average them, is going to give you this one in the middle, right there. Squiggling it so you can see it. Okay, so base 1 at the top, base 2 at the bottom, or reverse, add those two bases, divide by 2. So specifically for this diagram, PQ is equal to the length of AB plus length of CD divided by 2. It's the middle segment. All right, let's do some examples. Right, the first one says find the missing angles in a trapezoid. I know it's a trapezoid because I have one pair of parallel sides. So I know that these two lines are parallel, which I also know that these angles here, this plus this, is going to equal 180, and similarly the other side. So 180 is equal to angle 1 plus 86 degrees, so the measure of angle 1 is 44. Similarly, this angle plus this angle are going to equal 180. So 180 is equal to angle 2 plus 48 degrees, so angle 2 is 138. So if this angle is 44 degrees here, and this angle is 138 degrees, how many degrees do all of these angles in a quadrilateral equal? Food for thought. Okay, for this one, we're going to find the missing angles in the trapezoid. Now, this is called an isosceles trapezoid because these two are congruent. Those are called the legs. So remind yourself the legs are congruent. The base angles are going to be congruent. Those two are going to match. Similarly, these two are going to match. Okay, so I know that the two legs are congruent. That means the base angle is going to be congruent. So the bottom angle, angle F, is going to be 65 degrees. I know that angle D plus angle C is going to equal 180. So angle D has to be 115. And then I know that angle D and E are congruent. So angle E is going to equal 115 degrees as well. Once again, 65 plus 65 plus 115 plus 115 gives me a sum of, food for thought. Okay, the next example says find the length of the QR if PQR is an isosceles trapezoid. Okay, so QR is this one right here. We're trying to find this length right there. So I know it's an isosceles trapezoid. So this is going to be my mid segment. That's going to be the average of the top and bottom, the two bases that are parallel. So TU is equal to QR plus PS divided by 2. I'm going to fill in the values that I have. I have 18 for PS, divided by 2 is equal to the length of TU, which is 14. Merely cross multiply and solve for QR. All right, for this one, it says PQRS is an isosceles trapezoid. So since an isosceles trapezoid, I know these two legs are congruent to each other. So you also know that this diagonal is going to be congruent to this diagonal here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and remind myself diagonals are congruent. So I'm going to label 3x plus 25 as a length of PR. Label length as QS, 7x minus 35. I'm going to color code in the same color because those are congruent. And I'm merely going to substitute those values in. Once I solve for x, I get 15. And that's what it's asking you for. So you are done. All right, guys, please reach out anytime for any help that I might be able to give you. Set up a one-on-one or come to a live session. See you in a bit. Have a great day. Bye.